And we're live for another episode of Khy's Musings. Today is the 18th of October. If you were watching my channel earlier, we uh, we had a big game. Did you see any of that, Khy? Or
I saw. I was watching most of the game, so
wasn't bad.
no.
No, we actually did everything I wanted to for the sake of the game. I think we had 6.5 hours of good game. Then at the very end, I got everybody's skills set up because they're now eighth level. And that's kind of a sweet spot for gaming, in my opinion. I know it sounds really weird, but I'm a big fan of. I'm a huge fan of between like game levels between 3 and 10.
Right.
This here seems to be like we've hit the sweet spot in it. We had a combat that lasted 3.5 hours, but that was the party going after 5 Umber Hulks.
And that's not. Yeah.
That got hairy. Um,
Right. But the Umber Hulks. I mean,
and whenever you have a group of people that like you can do like multiple attacks in the system a little bit, or I call them combinations, because like it'll be faster for you to do your attack, but at the same time like you've got uh, a huge drop in your chance to hit. And the way that that works sometimes is I'll just pull up Ogre. He's our martial barbarianish type guy.
crafting.
Hey, Crafting, how you doing, sir? And the way that this goes, um, his arm strike, all that. I don't really have the multiple attacks figured in. His axe work is what I have figured in for his multiple attacks because that's what he's most apt to do. But like he gets a plus 50 to hit typically, and then his speed factor would be 10 if from whatever. But if he goes on that combination, it'd be only 9 more after that instead of a 10. So 50 and 25, not bad. Eighth level character, he's pretty beefy.
Yeah.
He's a force of fucking nature, in my opinion.
Right.
And in this system, I also like your intelligence helps figure in your attack variables as well. Intelligence and dexterity are what you use for accuracy because I just don't like using strength as like the modicum of like, oh, I can bash things real accurately. No, it's your dexterity and intelligence combined. So that might be something that's taken advantage of more and more as people play. But a lot of people, when they first start the game, it's 3 dice 6 all the way down for their apprentice character, and then when they go to a journeyman character, like an actual like barbarian or fighter or cavalier, they get like a D3 to all their stats, all their ability scores, and that helps them up quite a bit. Their hit dice improves because the apprentice characters like martial or a divine or arcane, they use the old hit die values from like basic D&D.
Right.
D4 for thieves, a D4 for mages. Okay, a D6 for fucking cleric types, a D8 for fighter types. And then once they get their fucking actual journeyman class, that's when they graduate to like the full D12. And there are other classes in it, but nobody's really wanted to explore that yet. Uh, Unfortunately, Vince dropped out as our bard, but I took Vince's character, and he's going a prestige class route, or as a master class, as I call it. And so is Chris. Chris is a necromancer from Libris Mortis, and we figured out how to jam that in there. And then, like for spells, like there's the basic haste, which drops your speed factor on some things a little bit, but at the same time, the that it also gives you a age a full year. Bam, right there, and it'll be gone. But you've got a wrinkle that you didn't have before. Your hair's starting to turn gray. You do that
Right.
like 5 or 6 times, like that's not healthy for humans or most most humans. Elves are different,
Hey,
but
Lloyd.
Lloyd, um, I like the way that I figured out how to do that. And this kind of peeks in a little bit further, but I'm really loving how the game flows, and I love like there might be times when I'm running through the initiative numbers, and I didn't mean to skip somebody, but I skipped somebody. Hold on, let me drop back 6 seconds, and that's just normal. I think that's just normal for this type of game. That's second by second instead of round by round. Because like, okay, you were gone from the table. Let me go back to when this happened, and here's what you were planning on doing. I need your die resolution now, and then we catch them up. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy.
And that's
I
pretty
mean,
not. That's pretty fair.
yeah. So I think the game. I think this game is going to be a lot more playable than like most 3X games because it just feels a lot more organic. The feats, typically, I will go through and I will, whenever the characters level up, 1 week they get their hit points and their bonuses to saving throws, their bonuses to their to hit, their base offensive bonus, and that'll be that first week. The second week, we start talking about skills and what skill points do you want where, and then week three, and these are, you know, a whole 2 weeks have expired between game. So I bring them back. I'm like, okay, here's how you've been playing. Here's the feats that I see your character doing, and you said you were wanting to do these. Here's your choices. And I don't let them have the whole fucking tome of feats. I let them have access to certain things that their character seems to be angling themselves for. I want it to be organic, and when I write the game master tome, I'm going to make sure that I implore that. Like, don't let your characters at the table run over you. You have to set the tone and be like, you've been doing this. It's totally out of character for somebody to be like, well, I've played a fighter for the past like 17 levels. I'm going to play a wizard now. What? Here's your choices. And you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. But if somebody said like 3, 4 weeks ago or 7 sessions ago, I want to angle towards this, give them that opportunity. So it requires good bookkeeping on the players and the DM to discuss and have a healthy back and forth. And that's one thing that the game requires constantly. Like after they do an action in combat, I pull out the Gygax and myself and I'm like, what do you want to do next? And so I can plan ahead how many seconds their next action will take them. And I think that's very important. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, doesn't seem like you are.
With your games, did you do anything this past couple weeks?
Played BattleTech, argued, and
Argued. Ooh, I love arguing. Sorry.
well, it's simply trying to decide. Someone's like, "Well, I like this," and I'm like, "Obviously, young kid, you are younger, and they're because I'm they want to GM something, and they're like, well, I'm good at like." I'm familiar with this, and I think that this thing. I'm like, well, it's fit that, and yeah, you like what you think isn't quite right, or what I well, it's not right, but I am. You can tell that they're younger, and they didn't grow up during the fifth. I during the 2E3 1E 2E3 day era. So they're like, well, it seems kind of broken, and I'm like, magic sucks, dude. You don't realize how much nicer it is these days, and it's just simply the realization that, well, no, but the thing is that it was very respectful and having a nice, polite conversation. Yeah, I'm not going to dissuade him from from running 5e because that's what they want to play and that's what they're going to run. And I'm like, I'll sit through it. I don't mind because I'm just mostly here because it's fun. It's the hobby. You play what you want. But mostly it's been playing a nice, been enjoying some BattleTech, which has been a lot more fun because it isn't it isn't a bunch of people who are just playing pickup games. Like, no, every single week is a different you know, someone comes up with a scenario, we build pilots and units, and then by the theme of the scenario, so it isn't just simply always the meta, oh, this is the most broken combination, just always be, the meta. And I'm like, no, we're having fun just playing, and it's so much nicer than it's a nice little change of pace from playing more angrier games that everyone's all just it's nice. Yeah, that, and I've been enjoying the mage game that I've been playing, which is just simply a mage. It's a lot of talking because nobody actually wants to fight in Mage the Ascension because
You
um,
die.
everyone dies.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about Mage the Ascension. It's a very high lethality system.
Oh yeah, and everyone's and there's so many ways to do everything. It's like, I'm going to use magic. Okay, well now things have gotten fun because it's a game of Batman, and everyone's over prepared. Everyone has to do, and there's no, and I think this is the conversation I was having with D&D. I with D&D, and why I don't want to play Magic in D&D anymore is because it's bullshit. I mean, because especially the newer editions where spells are, they do what's on the tin. You cast spell, tin, here's the effect. Congratulations, go forth and play. And and it's fire and forget. Here you go. And even if I think some of the spells are really, really, really dumb with how limited they've become, and they're still overpowered. And I'm like, that's because everything's been nerfed into the ground. There's no spectacularness that's in Magic. Magic doesn't feel magical anymore. Well, you could do like no. Like, trust me, I understand. Mm-hmm. 4 spells per day. Blah blah blah. Spell slots. Fancy in system. Congratulations.
Man,
But
I love my spell point system.
yeah, but meanwhile, I'm sitting here pointing towards a system where if I want to have an effect, I have 8 ways to do it. I, I have a combination of spheres that allow me to do anything I want if I'm creative enough. And we get really creative, and it's a lot of fun. And then I look at going back to D&D Magic, and it's just like blah, spell on the tin, no creativity. In fact, I was following one other guy who was like going, no. If your players start to ask for alternate ways to use spells, they're trying to subvert your game. Shut it down. Do not let them try to be creative with Magic. Magic has to be exactly what the game says, or they're not playing the game anymore. They're trying to do the storyteller thing, this story focus, and it's too cool, and therefore it's subverting the game. And I'm like going, dude, no, I don't want that. I want I want spells to be more interesting. Well, that makes marshals crap. I'm like, yes. Then the question should be, how do you make marshals more interesting? Not how do I nerf magic? If haste is too powerful, do you nerf bat the haste into the ground, or do you make marshals more interesting? Well, I don't want to make marshals too much more interesting because they already dominate. Like, then you're looking at the problem in a wrong, So it, eventually, if you beat all the high points into to being level with the low points, all you've got are low points. The entire game becomes low points.
You want
Or
to know something sad I discovered this week?
what's that?
Paizo makes an adventure path, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of their adventure paths, if they're play tested at all, they are ran through with a party of fighters so they can be beaten. So,
Right.
like Return of the Rune Lords and all those other mid APs that I've got, that explains so much how poorly they are thought out. But after Paizo released first edition Pathfinder, and now especially with second ed, because second ed is so fucking homogenous, like no matter what class you are, you do the same level of damage, same amount of damage per round. Maybe I'm wrong. You've got experience with that system. I don't. But everybody's told me that no matter what, the monster builder, the encounter builder, is set up really well, really tightly. But you start a game and your characters have very little quote unquote optimization or customization available.
Right.
So there's no real joy in creating a character that might be able to actually do something spectacular. The game is now completely homogenized, and more importantly, because Paizo and WotC don't understand morale rules,
Mm-hmm.
when they craft an encounter, they have to put in the text at this level of hit points. At this, after they've lost so many hit points, they run away or they fight to the death.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that. I like morale being kind of a fluid thing. Like you might drive off the monsters. You might be able to, but nobody ever does that. Nobody's looking to have a situation where, oh my god, they actually botched their morale roll. They're going to bolt this round.
Yeah.
And to me, that has to be brought back because, in all honesty, a fight is a scrum. It's chaotic as fuck. There should be no hard limits. Like he only sticks around in the fight till he has 20 hit points left. Then he turns and runs. To me, that just feels so artificial and bullshit.
It
If
is.
if you have like a mage that knocks down 6 bugbears with a fireball, and the fighter dispatches 3 kobolds with a swipe of his sword because he's got great cleave, the majority of surviving monsters at this point in the combat round do not want to stick around any further. They're looking to leave. Maybe I'm wrong, and you can tell me I'm different, but
No.
I'm not in the mindset that I don't feel that most monsters would stick around to watch their companions get slaughtered like that. Now might be like, "Hey, send the squintlings to the front, or the quicklings, or the snotlings, or whatever they are." They might do that, but I don't feel like they don't stick around to a preset era and then they leave. I think that's the morale is definitely a variable, and you got to bring back the morale modifiers from second ed and first ed, which they don't have.
I
Maybe
think
go ahead.
I think this is why when I'm running, I don't use monsters very much because I know everyone's like, "Oh, the monster builder and the encounter builder is the important thing, and they can do all those other things." And I'm like, "No, most of the monsters are all kind of crap anyway. They're kind of boring, and that's why I run predominantly humanoid focused games where most of my monsters are other humans or elves or dwarves or orcs, things that have class levels and where you build everyone like a player character. And I know everyone's like, I know people are like, no, but I mean, player versus player is Rocket Tag, where everything's so it's not balanced versus player. And I'm like, then your game is wrong
I
because
feel that same way. I mean, I love building monsters and giving them class levels.
yeah, and for me, I I don't want I don't want to run just mindless monsters. Like there's spice that make things flavorful, but hordes of generic canned monsters don't work for me. And it's why I throw. It's why I throw them. I throw them. But the thing is, so I build all of my monsters based on the idea that they're like they're intelligent. They're humans, like they're other humans, because I guess when I was young, I took to heart the deadliest, what was called. I'm tired. I'm not thinking that hard, but the deadliest game is humans. It's fighting other humans. Like, we are the apex predator, and we're playing in a fantasy realm where the apex predators are intelligent creatures. They're going to be like you, stronger, as strong or stronger than you, and because of the fact that we build towards perceived threats of, and I don't care. Like, I know that we'll throw every once in a while. Here's the big bad guy who's a not peer adversary, but most of the time we're running up against peer adversaries. We're not we're not running against hordes of low levels. We're not encountering hordes of high levels. We're mostly fighting within range of ourselves. So it's going to be a PvP fight versus player versus player. It's GMs are building player characters to fight other player characters. Well, the game's not built around that. I'm built for that. I'm like, that's the flaw. Then that's a flaw of your game. If the players are not meant to combat other players, then you're not playing the game. Like, then the game's not right. I know when I run Exalted, you're up against people who are built like you. Like, you may not be up against another Solar, but you're up against people who are built with the same rules, same engine, same effect. I can go and build a Dragonborn strike unit, and it's going to be following the exact same creation rules that you made to make your Solar. When I'm playing Legend of the Five Rings and I'm GMing that game, everyone's built by rules. You follow the same rule set, and thus a samurai is going to be a samurai of is going to be a samurai of a samurai, and every once in a while, a demon will show up, but that's something major and powerful. But they have rules, and they're following the same rules. But the super tight monster encounter rules, well, are the monsters operating under the same rules that you are? No, then there's something wrong. And I think that's why I'm not happy when I'm playing a Paizo or a WotC game, or a WotC derivative game, or a TSR derivative game, because they're not built like us. They're not. You can't follow the rules. You can't. Sorry, you can't reverse engineer, and that's a detriment. Because, well, the players are supposed to be superheroes, and that's like I and let's be honest, you are superheroes. You're stronger, faster, better, superior in everything. Your attacks and saves are better. You're better out of the box than an equivalent level, and you know it. That's why we had our CR ratings, where it's like, well, a standard encounter is a party of 4 versus 20 orcs. Well, no, it's not. That's actually like way out. Your party's gonna die. But no, it's like there's a set number of orcs that will suffice to kill them to be a sufficient challenge, and I don't want to run that, because yeah, I watched you have a 3-hour fight. I'm going to come back to, I've only got 4 hours to run, and I don't want to run for 4 weeks to get through one day of fights to provide a challenge. I want to move the story forward and move my game forward and have new things, new stories, new plots, new motivations. I want to encourage players to be something, and I don't want a 3-hour fight. So I don't want a 4 weeks for one day fight, because I mean that's and the thing is that that's clearing part of a dungeon, and you're gonna be like, what, doing this for for days on end to clear a dungeon, and then you realize, like, that's so to get 4 days of play by standard D&D rules, 4 in character days, you only get like 5 hours to play per week, and you might be able to squeeze 2 fights in. So every week you're getting 2 fights. So every 2 weeks you get 1 day, and you need 5 days to clear the dungeon. So you're looking at 2.5 months to play.
This, I'm just saying that the current campaign, they've been in this dungeon for this region for like 6 adventure days, 6 Saturdays of gaming so far.
Okay.
But that's also covering like a parcel of land like the size of Utah.
Okay. So you're doing pretty good at keeping this, but I'm looking at how how Paizo and Watsy tell you it's supposed to be.
Oh God, fuck that.
And so we've all realized that the adventuring system that they want us to play is trash, and it's in their design documents, it's in their how their style, and it's why you get the what 5 fighters can clear an adventure module, and that's cool because again I'm used to playing. I am playing L5R. L5R is definitely a everyone's a fighter. It's 4 flavors of fighter and 1 spellcaster, and the spellcaster is just there to be like, I'm mostly here to wave a piece of jade around and scare the demons away long enough for us to not die. And my spells really aren't that powerful, and they do cool stuff, but I'm I'm not a blaster mage and I'm not a healer. I do cool things, but I'm not a fighter. Shugenjas are awesome, but it's definitely a everyone's a fighter game, and the adventure paths are definitely very much built around that, but they're not built around, well, you need 4 fights in a day, 3 fights before a major encounter so that way you can burn off resources. Well, no, not really. Everyone's got pretty much cool resources, and you play as the story goes, and the adventure modules were very very um faction agnostic, so therefore it's like you can run City of Shadows with any combination of characters. Some might be more optimal than others because you're playing in a scorpion city, so maybe having scorpions and unicorns in your party might be better than having an all lion party, because the lion party might just all die magically at night by having their throats slit or being poisoned. Or the crab might offend everyone, the crane might offend everyone, the lions will just be stupid, the dragons might not give a shit, the phoenix will do whatever the phoenix do, and then the merchants will do whatever the merchants do, and then the ronin are just like, I'm being paid, right? Yeah, cool. And I mean, there's optimal, like there's but you could run these adventures in any way you wanted to. And because when they dump you into any of these adventure modules, they were cities. Like, here's the city. Here's a plot that's happening in the city. But you could go anywhere in the city and do whatever you wanted in the city. And that made it really interesting. I know because I have like 3 box sets, and one of the box sets was an actual real dungeon crawl adventure, and it really is a everyone goes in here and dies. There's no way through it. And if anybody ever says we're going to run the Tomb of Ayuchiban, at that point it's like everyone goes, "Oh, cool! We're going to go run Tomb of Horrors," because it's the exact same level of you just die. There's no way through this. In fact, the first room has an auto death system built into it. It's great. It's not the I put my hand into the sphere of annihilation level of dumb, but it when you walk into the first room, there's a big main door and then 2 nondescript doors, or just like doors to the side. And if anyone goes, I go to the front door, and it lets you walk to the front door. And then if you do anything to like open it or unlock it or do anything, it it says a giant stone block falls from the ceiling and crushes everybody. anyone who's near the door dies as this giant rock falls from the sky and hits you, and then gets pulled back up, and leaves everybody bloody smears. And you're like, that's the front door. That's the actual front door. And because it's not really a door, it's just the door that makes it, it's the obvious door. And if anyone goes to the obvious door, everyone dies. But if anyone goes to the side doors, well, that's when all the actual death traps start. And some of these death traps are so just you lose. You walk in the room, you lose because the game wasn't built around dungeon crawling. But that was okay because the the module is designed to be like, no, no, this was the most diabolical trap ever built, ever, to trap an evil spirit to never be able to escape. It's meant to keep something in, and you're trying to get into it. So, sorry, you're trying to get in, and someone else is trying to get out. And the evil spirit trying to get out can't escape because every time a body can get to the center and gets possessed, the body now has to try to get out of this death trap, and it gets killed every time. So it puts the spirit back in its tomb. So your entire idea is to get to the center, get possessed, and then die on your way out. It's the most stupidest adventure ever. But leaving that out, the rest of the game was built around, fights are short, deadly, and interesting rather than grind fests. And the more I look at different different game engines, different systems, the more I realize I don't want the WotC system. I don't. I mean, the TSR WotC system, Paizo system, is just not fun. And Pathfinder 2 is not terrible. And the thing is that it when it was released, it wasn't that great. But like Pathfinder, as they added more things and you were willing to play with the optional rules, the game became more interesting. Will I volunteer it? I will volunteer it any day over fifth ed. But the thing is that the problem with Pathfinder 2 is that it's options on options on options on options, and it takes time to read all the options to find a cool combination to make an option really cool. You can do almost anything with it, but you got to put the work into it. And I know a lot of people don't want work. They want it to be simply I open book, I play fighter, fighter tells me to do this. They don't want to have it go, all right, here's your racial. And the thing here is that most games are simply you're playing an elf. Here's your elf racial abilities, and you never think about elf ever again. Because nothing matters. Your choice gave you dark vision and low light vision, the ability to detect hidden doors every once in a while if you walk by it and you feel the draft of air. Woo. And that's the last you ever hear about anything. And so, really, honestly, after character creation, your race doesn't really matter except for whatever RP you bring with it. So you got to put the effort in to make the race work. Pathfinder 2 went, no, your race continues to have shit that improves as you level up. And I'm like, okay, cool. That gives me more versatility, more my ancestry actually matters. My background gives me stuff. My class gives me stuff. But the thing is that it's overwhelming because it front loads so much onto the player. The player has to do all the work. The GM has it fucking easy as shit. It really they do. They're just like, this is the easiest thing in the entire universe, and the player is the one who has to go, oh fuck, what combination of abilities gives me what I want to be able to do the cool thing that I want? And there's so many.
That's where I feel the GM and the player have to combine
Yep.
their communication. They have to talk and they have to do things
Oh yeah.
together to create a narrative and to make a character that can withstand the narrative.
I know. And the thing is that since I went into it with a much more cooler mentality, I was like, no, I'll walk you through it. And I go like it became more of a here. What idea do you have? And how how can we look through the combinations to get you the cool idea that where you're aiming for? And because of the fact that I did hit my players with the no, 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 I'm going to give you the everyone gets an archetype for free because basic classes are kind of boring. I should have been like, here, have training wheels for longer. But because I don't like training wheels, I pull the training wheels off and go, nah, go as crazy as you want because, well, I've played high level. I've run too many game engines, and I'm like, no, no. Whatever combination you come up with, it won't be broken. Will it be broken? No, no, it's not. It's not what the game was meant to do, but it's what the game's doing. And I want to see where the limits are. What broken combination can you come up with that we can? Because when my players do something crazy, I can go, no, that's a little too crazy, or that's something I didn't anticipate. And I know a lot of, and I know I'm having a problem with at least one of my GMs who they feel they're somebody who has to plan ahead. Like everything has to be detailed out and planned. I will admit that I will study rules enough that I can play fly by the fly by the I fly by my I
See the pants.
yeah, see the pants. I can I can improv. I can run an interesting story. I can throw something out there and go, I think this is an interesting challenge. It was an interesting challenge. Okay, I will adapt, adapt and overcome. I will improvise, adapt, and overcome, and the game becomes much like was it what I planned ahead of time? No, because no plan survives contact with the enemy, and the enemies are the players. And they're like, well, isn't that adversarial? No, I mean, just players are the wild cards, and they're the people who design. I could spend forever over researching everything, and then have the players never go there. and well, now I got all this like system mastery for a GM is important, and because my players will go and do something new, something odd. They'll come up with a weird combination, and that they got an idea, and then they play with it to the point where I'm like, dude, that's rather than go, no, you can't do that. Like, no, go with it. And then suddenly you got you know, a player playing old man Maverick I'm shooting an elemental pistol that shoots all the elements at people. Like, is that sound like D&D? No, it sounds fucking awesome. Why? Because it's old man Maverick shooting shooting people with a 6 shooter on quick draw because, well, that was a cool idea, and it's fun, or it allows people, me to create memorable NPCs who are just as much cool characters too, and it's allowed for so much more fun than trying to be. But the thing is that the GM I'm dealing with, they everything has to be planned out. Everything has to be balanced. Everything has to be works within the rules of the system in a practical manner, and they're very logical and they're very mechanical. And I don't fault them because they're actually good storytellers, but they don't handle random acts very easily. And I have a nasty habit of throwing curveballs at them all the time. So whenever they think they've got a good idea, no, I just do something different because it's what I do. I think outside the box. And that confuses this poor GM because, well, they're used to everyone being very practical. Like, it's in the meta, it's the practical solution, it's this is how it's supposed to be done. And then you have somebody who walks in and goes, how about we just go through the window? I didn't plan for the window. I'm just going to the window, but that's what I'm doing. And they're like, and yeah, it throws them for loops, and I'm so for them, fifth ed fits. It works for the for them because it is very by the book. It's it's not do what you want. If the rules say you can, don't tell you you can't, you can. And it's more you can. The book tells you what you can do, and you play
That's
by that.
I hate games like that.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of like. But the thing is, listen to a lot of players and a lot of GMs and how they talk. That's what they. That's how they run. That's how they like. They don't give you a lot of room to do whatever you want, and if you start questioning them on, well, what can I, and they're like, no, no, book, it's in the book. Read the book, and you see this a lot, and they're and when I listen to a bunch of old folks talk, that's what they want, because they want to play the game, the actual tactical board game where they provided you the scenario for the room. It's the scenario, the scene of the battle, and you're fighting through the tactical solution. You're working out a tactical solution to handle the room, and then you move on. You do a little bit of talking, a little bit of thinking, but what you're doing is you're setting up for the next combat scenario. I mean, we do a little bit better job as GMs to whitewash this and blend it all together so that way it doesn't seem like that's what we're doing, but that's what we're doing if we're throwing down a tactical map on the floor on the table, and we're running to the next combat encounter. You do some social things, you do a little bit of rolling and a little bit of role playing, but then you get to the next combat encounter. You get your spells back, get some healing, you blow off some things, you do whatever you can in next combat encounter. And for them, it's like turn the page of the module, set up for the next fight, and or here's the next challenge. Here's a trap, here's a hidden room, a chamber. Here's something that a setup that's going to lead to the next challenge. And I know that's what we're supposed to be building towards. It's like the, because nobody wants to do just talk, all talking all the time. Because there has to be some kind of challenge in the game because combat is the core of the game. It's every class builds towards combat. The entire book is combat, and all your spells are combat. Okay, sorry, we threw some utility in there, but for the most part, it's combat, recovery from combat, or preparation for combat, or how to avoid combat. But it's combat, and that's the majority of the game. We threw some skills in there so that way you feel good about yourself, and you move on. The game is fun, but the focus of the game is the combat. So that's what we're here for. It's what we're trying to aim for, and that's why I like the role playing game books that combat isn't the main focus. But then again, look at your feat trees. Combat. I look at the biggest chapter of the book. Combat.
I I'm not saying combat's the end all be all of the game, but the the focus of every game engine I've ever seen, none of them are like how to make your character a better person, how to win friends and influence people. I
Yeah.
mean, very few of them actually give you an idea of how many people want to hang out and do stuff with you. I mean, leadership feat, God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only thing I think goes back to like the old battle system. Do you remember battle system? I remember battle
Yes.
system. I remember wringing my head and banging it against a wall, trying to figure out how how does this turn into my character is now a decent individual to where everybody would want to be around him and people want to glom onto him and suck on his fame and adventure with him and they can tell their grandkids, oh yeah, I was in the Great Purge or blah 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 year. It took me forever to wrap my head around that because it was something that no other DM that I had really focused on something like, oh yeah, there's like 20 people that are setting up camp at the front of every dungeon that your party stops at, and they want to make sure that you get back here safe because they're kind of dependent on your paycheck,
Oh
and
yeah,
they never had that before.
I will propose a couple games that do actually show a lot of other aspects. I will point to Legend of the Five Rings. I always pull this one up, but
Amazing game,
it
amazing game,
is. But the combat section is honestly a few pages. It really is. It's a very few pages,
and it's
and
wonderful that way. You know why I love L5R so much?
yeah,
The combat literally fits on one page for the rule set, and
mm-hmm.
then whenever you get to combat, it's just a couple die rolls and somebody's bleeding to death,
Yep.
and
But the
that's
thing
that's
is,
that's it.
yeah. But the majority of the book is telling you, hey, here's how to I here's how to play here's how to play your cat your class. Here's how honor works. Here's how glory works. Here's how you earn honor. Here's how you earn glory. Here's what they give you and what you get for it. Here's the culture you're going to be in. Here's what's expected of you on how to act. There's color coded books that tell you how to play every single clan, and then they go. The schools get like 5 or 6 pages out of an 80-page book, and the rest of it is legends, lores, myths, personalities, culture. When you play Traveler is another game of combat. Is here's a chunk of the book is combat, but the rest of it is gear, trade, how not to die in space, how to interact, the law system, and but then again, Traveler is the midlife crisis in space role playing game. It's not about it, like it's not traditional adventuring. It's literally a bunch of 40 somethings who've been broken by life flying around in an RV. It's fun, but a lot of the book is personality and how to how to make friends and win and influence people. And it's great, especially diving into the race books, the nation books, and then you're like going, oh shoot, there's actually a whole lot into how to play every race and every faction, their personalities, their influences, what their homeworld's like, what you're going to see, differences in governments, and you're all going to have fun. And that's a fun way. Another one I will point to is Twilight 2000, where combat's important, but so is how not to die from food, how not to die from radiation, how not to die from uh, infections of diseases, how to escape Poland, the role playing game. But that's Twilight 2000, which is a hellscape of a game. But you're 1 year after the nuclear war. Yeah, it's supposed to be a hellscape game, and it's great. I can look at Mech Warrior for BattleTech. It doesn't matter which rule set you use. The rule set's important. It's great, but then you get to go into all the stupid quantities of how to play every class, how to play everything, goes into the into the national the national identities, the national military academies, and you could play whatever faction you want and get into wonderful arguments with people for decades to come because we will judge you based on who you actually like. And everyone's got like 5 things they like because nobody can agree because there's so many. The story is vast and large, and there's a lot of room in the margins to do whatever you want. And it's like Heavy Gear's the same way. Like there's so many role playing games where they give you where how to play, how to be, and the only games that seem to negate all of that is when we come to like Shadowrun, Cyberpunk. All these games are give you so much to do besides combat. Your class is not. But then again, all of these games have one thing different from D&D. They're not a class based game. White Wolf was never this way. Like, you're not locked into a predefined archetype based on your class. Your class is your identity, which is not which is a strength and a flaw. But because every class has to somehow be viable, but they're not. And as I said at the start of the stream, we have the endless problem of we keep each new edition beats the highs out of the game, but they do nothing to, but they do very little to lift the lows. So marshals have never really gotten better. They've gotten more complex. They can do more cool things, but they haven't gotten better. It's the marshals are just as miserable to play today as they were to play 25 oh gosh, almost 30 years ago now, back in second. Yeah, you can play a weapon master because every player has their iconic weapon, so why not take weapon mastery? And you swing good, hit hard, and that's it. And then we've progressively gone swing gooder, hit harder, and now we get to do cool things like trip a guy, or make them bleed, or hit them twice as fast because we're using two, or we're hitting them with really, really hard. And you're like this is where we're at. They eventually, through feats we had some versatility on. Maybe it could be more cool, but it still hit hard. And we progressively nerfed magic down to, well, it's still better. The logarithmic increase of you're just spiking up to, I can jump dimensions, bring people back to life, and summon gods is still there. I can wish things, and the fighter's thing is hit hard. And they've done some better to try to fix it through like alternate paths and alternate, like schools and different directions that can give you cool capstones, but it's still but the game unfortunately evolved into borderline superhero garbage, and I'm not a big fan of it. But the thing is that it was borderline superhero garbage during the Pathfinder 1, and it was borderline superhero garbage in Pathfinder in 3.5. It wasn't quite superhero garbage, but it was still superhero garbage. And because we have you spring back to health now at stupidly high speeds. Like, injuries don't linger. That was the
No,
one thing
they really don't.
that was the
Um,
one thing I
that,
loved about old edition. Yeah. Anyway, you said?
no, it was like today we had a situation where one of the Ember Hulks grabbed a hold of the our NPC thief that is glommed onto our barbarian,
Yeah.
and so she got gripped to death or to zero hit points by that thing over the course of like 20 seconds. It had a hold of her. It was trying to get a hold of her, and she feebly tried to attack it. Couldn't pierce the claw armor with her knife, and then she stopped struggling. It threw her to the ground and focused on the barbarian. The barbarian was in bad shape, but he was able to do stuff still and was able to get out. But at the very end, the party gathers around her. Yeah, her hit points are healed up. She's moving really slow. What? And I made a narrative of it to where, like, well, she says, like, my sides hurt. And so they examine her, and through a heal check, I'm like, okay, she's got bruised ribs. She needs either a serious wounds application, or she needs to have a restoration done to fix her bones. And I think that adding something like that in the narrative kind of fixes the health and hit points bullshit. The health and
Yeah.
hit points bullshit always pisses me off in a game where, like, I'm down to one hit point. I'm up to 12 hit points. I magically spring back. I'm not even down at negatives, you know. But I think if you throw things in there like that, like the players really don't notice it when the bad guys don't attack as effectively. But I say
Yeah,
things like, you know, he weakly tries to batter you after getting critically cleaved for 40 points of damage or whatever. That monster just took such a huge hit. He's at negatives on things. And I keep a lot
yeah,
of stuff behind the screen. And I think that something needs to happen like that in a game to where players and GMs start to embrace the fact like, even though I have this immutable characteristic and this magical amount of hit points that allow me to fight to one hit point without negatives, I think my GM would be wise to make it to where it'd be a good idea to make sure I understand I don't need to fight anymore. I need to leave or I'm going to die here. And they have injuries and they try to slink off and let somebody else be the focus of the aggression from the bad guy or NPC. And that either has to happen or we're going to have bad games. This goes back into the morale
yeah.
of the morale roll. The morale roll has been missing and it has to come back because otherwise you're going to have situations where people will just lose characters. You're not going to have less deaths in my game, but you're going to have more warning signs like, "Hey, you're not as effective in combat as you were like 30 seconds ago. You took a hit to the face from a very good monk and he's about to give you a stunning fist." I don't think my players are necessarily barking up that tree just yet, but I think we're getting close to it.
Honestly, a solution to that I came up with in my gaming games was the idea that my hit that I kind of like this the spiral of doom. I'm the death spiral.
Like
Um,
either World of Darkness or Star Wars D6.
yeah, or same thing with almost every other RPG in the planet. There's health levels, and the thing here is that I don't have that chart anymore. But I had a chart I made up for a while that had injuries that when you hit 50% hit points, you rolled on a light. You got a light injury that doesn't go away if you get healed back up to like the rest of this combat. You have this injury, and it's going to take a medical check to fix it. And they're just light injuries. So being healed back up above half hit points doesn't take away that minor injury. You've accrued it in the fight, so it gave you a detriment to being well. It you to like, and I had it at like 50% and 25% and 10%, where it was like like light, moderate, and serious injuries, and being dropped to zero guaranteed an automatic, serious. So being, zero, pop back up, down, pop up, down, pop up. What we sometimes do with characters would just keep piling on serious injuries on top of you to the point where you're just like, let me die, or drag me off and start somebody get a medic over here who can like do some field surgery to help like set you know bring the heal skill into it and made it viable. For a while, the group that I was running for that did that liked that system, and then slowly but surely, new people came in and they weren't so keen on it. So I retired it and proceeded to lose the wound chart. I mean, I've lost I've had computer hard drives die over the years and lost binders. So I I ideas get lost along the way. But I'm pretty sure it would be really easy to recreate this thing if I really had the motivation to do so. But then again, I also liked when we dabbled with the one thing that came out of D20 Star Wars that we really liked, which was crit.
Wound?
What was that?
The wound system?
The wound system, where crit hits hit your con score rather than hitting your hit points. You didn't do we didn't have vast giant. It's like, oh, here's your threat range. no, that's not a problem. Like, not a thing anymore. And here's your crit modifier, not a thing anymore. Just 20s automatically go up to your con score, so you can drop major people fast if you hit their con score, and you hit it hard enough that they actually die. And it's like it made the game sufficiently lethal. We liked it for a little bit, and then we realized it was super lethal, and then we retired it. So, but the thing is, we've been trying to hit alternatives around to get around the hit point problem, and the because I like the idea that and I did for a while have the breakdown of, oh no, the first 50, the first 50% of your hit points, that's entirely luck. That's entirely just that's nothing. That's just you being a superhero, getting being an action movie hero and getting grazed and nicked, and then it gets into you're starting to get some blood, get some. It's not bruises anymore, starting to get bloody, and then it's like, okay, you've hit your last hit dice. That's when you should probably run away because you're not gonna get a heal spell doesn't fucking fix that. And it's like because again, years of trying to find a solution to the hit point problem, and morale is definitely a way to do it. And we just uh, everyone's trying to look for a solution to like, is it really a problem? It is, but it's not. And it's like if you want your players to be continually pushing forward and nap time happens and suddenly you're all healed up. But then again, I loved the old rules way back in the dawn of time, at least when I was young, where it was like, hey, you only get back a small amount of hit points per day if you don't have bed rest and you don't have a trained medic who's sitting, a trained healer who's sitting here tending to your wounds. You get back like one hit point. I miss the days where it's like, no, hit points were meat, and you got hit, you got hurt, and it takes forever to heal. I want those days back. I want the idea of, nah, you need a week or two of bed rest and light duty to get back to being combat capable. That's kind of where I want to go back to. It's where I want to be. And I don't even mind 3.0's entire thing of, oh no, you like the third edition's thing of, oh no, you get back your level and hit x amount of hit points per day, per day. And I'm like, okay, that's still days of bed rest and recovery before you're ready to go out there and do it again. But I but then again, I also kind of liked the Wheel of Time heal system that was the D20 Wheel of Time game, which was
I don't
simple.
remember that one. Was that one the one? Wait, is that where you cure, but it goes from lethal to subdual damage?
Yep, and you can heal it, and you can heal it off in a matter of hours rather than a matter of days. And that was far cool. That was far cooler system. So it's like you're not getting out of like you're not getting out of the fight. You're not like suddenly magically healed. You're just simply okay. You're going to recover faster, and that was a far cooler healing system because at least then it isn't instantaneous. It's and you're still knocked out pretty hardcore at a certain point. But that was also early 3.0, which was a damn good system, and I used that one for a long time until I lost out on a bunch of players because when I was using the Wheel of Time game rules, I had a bunch of people who were all Wheel of Time fans. So when I say, "Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely it's like healing from Wheel of Time," and suddenly people are like, "Oh, okay, cool, we understand." But then I lost out on all my Wheel of Time readers and got new people who didn't know Wheel of Time and trying to go, "No, this is how the Aes Sedai heal," and they're like, what? Who? Why should I fear the Aes Sedai? Why should I fear channelers?" And I'm like, okay, um, I'm gonna go over here now and cry like an old man because obviously you guys are all fucking savages. Cool.
I only read like the first half of Wheel of Time book one. I
Yeah,
could not get into it. It just, not that it's poorly written, but
it's just a drag.
it's a serious drag. And Bruce, I was worried that I was going to die of like just waiting for the plot to really start.
Don't worry, that's the problem with that's the problem with Wheel of Time. If anyone thinks that Tolkien is the describe area fucking tree branch guy, no, Robert Jordan is the
No,
master of this shit.
fucking Robert Jordan was horrible at getting the action going. Like I can tell you, I can draw you from memory from the narrative of how uh, the Aes Sedai girl at the start of the book. I forgot her name, but I could draw you her ringlets in her hair and how she looked and how the dress fell across her supple curves. But I couldn't tell you what happened because it felt like really nothing ever happened, and I hate saying that because it sounds like I'm disrespecting that guy's work, but I didn't like his narrative at all. And I
In
went back
defense,
to Tolkien. I went back to Tolkien with a newfound appreciation.
yeah, no. The only like I'll admit, my first time trying to read Jordan didn't work. I just didn't do it. It took having four people at my table who were all Robert Jordan fans to push me to actually read it. But once I got to like book two, it gets better. But we still had the endless jokes of, oh no, that broken teacup that you read 4 chapters ago, it will actually be important in book four. And we're like, oh god damn it, this is dumb. And the story does get really interesting, but also still dumb. I'm not going to go out and say Robert Jordan is the world's best goddamn book, and it's not. Wheel of Time is fun, but boy, is it dumb at times. But I loved it enough to go, no. But the Aes Sedai were interesting. The Heron Mark blades were cool. The Blade Masters were awesome. Everybody like there's a lot of cool concepts that were in the books, but the narrative was just like the anchor that made the whole narrative garbage. But if but there were some really awesome things that came from it, and I was more than happy to go. I'm going to steal everything from this book that I can and make a very useful thing. So yeah, in the background, I'm like, yeah, there's Aes Sedai out there, and someone's like, male or female, and I'm like, both. And like, does the males have madness problems? And I'm like, no, the breaking of the world never happened in this world, so no, there is no mad. The dark one isn't out there. There isn't madness for the male Aes Sedai, and they're like, so I can play an actual male combat Aes Sedai, and I'm like, yeah, you can. And but there's also the idea that you start with these spheres, and then you can branch. So eventually, you can get combat females or healer males, but it's not their initial orientation because Jordan was very much a no. The sexes have defined roles in magic, and that's how it works. And you can eventually get powerful enough to be able to cross the bridge, but not really. And it's like, okay, there's some cool things here, and cool, and it makes Warriors interesting, and oh, cool, there's Blade Masters, and there's the Ale, and there's just some cool ideas, and there's a bunch of cool things, and then the wolf, and then the wolves, and there's a lot of cool ideas that made players go, wait, there's more options. And I'm like, yes, do something cool. And so every once in a while, when I'm GMing, I'll be like, and there's an Aes Sedai out there, and someone's like, I have no idea what an Aes Sedai is, and I'm like, you don't have to. As far as like, just know that they're out there, and your path will never cross theirs, and they'll go off and do whatever the hell they're doing, and you'll do whatever you're doing. If you want to have a new kind of magic, well, there's one out there. You can go be a channeler, and then learn the most complex D&D magic you're gonna fucking ever play with, because boy is it fucking dumb and bonkers, but it's worth it in the end to do it. And they're like, okay, cool. But then again, I also, in the background, will also go, well, there's also a Shugenja floating around out there. And they're like, wait, what's a Shugenja? I'm like, kind of a priestly wizard that can heal and do other things. And they're kind of like cleric wizards, but they're samurai. And like, can I be one of those? Yes, you can. And then I can drop like 5 rule books in their lap and go, this is what you need to play a Shugenja. That looks, it's way cooler than you think, but it's not as cool as you think. What? Well, you're kind of a priest. So I'm like a cleric. No, I didn't say you're a cleric. I said you're a priest. Uh, you gotta pray, like you're praying to the to the spirits in the area and to the gods of the area to grant you the ability to do some cool things. That sounds utterly cool. I know. Go play. Be something different. Be something awesome. Well, I want to play a cleric of Paylor. Oh fuck. All right. All right. Okay. All right. I know what you are. I'm playing a cleric of, of war. Ah, fantastic. You're okay, cool. Boring. But then again, that's also me and my hatred for D&D magic. And uh I don't know. I have ideas. None of them are right. I'll admit that.
I just want a game that when I run it, the rule set is in the background
Yeah.
and our fucking hanging out, being together, running a group is mainly in the foreground. Like during combat and exploration of a dungeon, I don't expect the players to do something crazy like I'm going to separate from the party. But the moment the players get to like a town or something, I want to let them like grab a shower, go like refill their potions, or maybe go to the casino or do something to help them relax and just unwind a little bit. I'm not planning on fucking my players over with like, oh yeah, you get to the casino and like you get pickpocketed by the first available cut purse halfling that sees you. No, they're not gonna fucking do that first fucking thing. They're gonna let you sit in town and get your guard down. They're gonna let you, get belly full, maybe get tired from dinner, have a day of rest, get up next day, appreciate all the aches and creaks in your bones. Maybe on day 2 or 3, if you're still there burning through like this pile of gold and appreciable amounts of silver, which most everybody uses silver in town. Nobody, I hate to say, nobody uses silver except for the fucking rich people and adventurers, but that's kind of how it is. If you ever hang out in an oil field town, I'll take it back 10 years to San Antonio back in 2012, 2015. You could tell when frack was in town, when guys were, freshly off the wellhead and they were relaxing. They were, not expecting to go to work so early because they would go to a pub, they'd go to a club, they'd go find their wives and go out in public and they'd be dropping $100 bills on the waitresses and like keep the change, shit like that. Now, granted, majority of our local Hispanic population does not tip so hard as the rest of the Anglos, but the atypical Western civilization European descendants believe in a high tip culture. It's really weird. I appreciate my servers. I appreciate my wait staff. I try to make sure they go home with more money than what they came in with, and so I would always try to treat them well. And other guys would do the same because
Mhm.
they want to make sure, like, hey, when I ask for a Long Island iced tea, you don't skimp on the alcohol. Go ahead, splash a couple extra ounces in there. I'll grow you a 50, $40 tip on this drink. Don't fuck me, you
Yeah.
know. And you can tell when all this shit happens all the time, and I love that. And that's kind of how I view the games. I view these games as to kind of be, uh, you have the high stress, the danger, the intrigue, and then you get to town, and the intrigue doesn't really stop, but it does take a breath because the last thing that they would want to do is run you out of town within the first 60 minutes of you being there. They want to let you get used to it. They want to have you, like maybe buy a hooker or, go to the casino and win a few extra hundred gold before they steal it out of your pouch. They're not complete and total dicks. They're dicks, but they're not focused on bleeding you dry. They gotta fucking like let you get used to the town and get addicted to civilization again, and then make it to where then if they do something, it's not gonna fucking bleed you. It's gonna just like nickel dime you. Like, oh, where did I put that extra fucking 30 gold? I had it just sitting on the table 5 minutes ago. Did you see it take off? No, I didn't. And that's kind of how I view these games. I view these games as being the type of games that this is how things proceed. And I maybe I've been around organized crime too much somewhat, but I know how thieves think. I've been in casinos. I've been in high dollar establishments where you have cut purses around. I've been in these places, and a realistic situation wouldn't be as soon as you get in town, you get bent over by the local constabulary and get fucked. No, yeah, you got to make your declarations if they've got that sort of level of authoritarianism. Here's what we found in the dungeon. Here's the items. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, keep it, and let me know what I owe on taxation. But we've got enough to cover this. Here's an extra 15 silver for you because I know that you like this single malt whiskey that they have at the Green Tavern, and I want you to make sure you have one tonight, okay? In fact, if you make it there within the first 30 minutes of you being off, I'll buy you an extra shot, officer. And I think a lot of games would be better for having that level of immersion. Maybe I'm wrong. If I fuck up, let me know.
Right. no, I'm fu- no, I agree there. Oh, hey there, nerdy.
What's up, nerdy? Hey, nerd. There is an invite in our D100 Discord, I believe. If you are wanting to, it happened at 10:30. If you want to jump in, you don't have to. If you want to, it's up to you, sir. I know how you are, and you like to have your peace and quiet time, but it's available. I just want to have a game table that like the players kind of fall in love with, and not that I don't do that with Pathfinder, because I try to make that game world come alive so fucking much. But I find it easier with a system that's not there trying to literally empower the players through every second of their life and yet tell me what they're not capable of doing. I need a system that's open that lets them decide how they spend their time when they're not in the middle of combat. It doesn't make sense to me either.
I know.
Travis says, single malt's yucky. Rum is good.
It is good.
We do like rum here.
I think that's. I think part of this comes down to the idea that we're giving like we want our players to have agency. I know that certain other streams and groups will be like agency bad players are the enemy to a good game. But the thing here is that because your tipping example is a very good example of players finding motivation to do something. And I don't know how many groups would be if after we've set up everything and we drop them into an area and said, "What are you going to do?" That would they be able to do something? Like, would they be motivated to do something? Would they, without us having an external to provide that external motivation to do something, would they do something? And I think this is also part of why I rebel so hard against, for example, when Shadow would always be like the God tells you to do something, you need to do it, and I'm like, why? Why should I? I do I worship this God? Well, he's a God. You should listen to him. And is he interacting with me every single day of my life? Like, is he something of important? Well, at any point, he can just do something to you. Well, is he doing something to me on my day to day? Well, no. That's important. Is he every day doing something? Like, well, he can just snap his fingers, and then why doesn't he snap his fingers all the time and solve the problem? Well, he's got rules. Well, I've got rules too. Well, he's better than you. There's a hierarchy now. But the thing here is that it's the same idea where at but at that point it's the GM, because because we don't provide our players a very detailed set of what the gods do. Like, what is their? We don't have a very detailed set of what, you know. Here's their ideology. Here's their mentality. Here's their thoughts. Here's their doctrines. Here's what you got to do every day. Here's how the intermingling between all of the various faiths operate, because we're not used to running a polytheistic religion, which I religious system that's got multiple pantheons in it. We don't think about it. We're kind of slapping a monotheistic, um, good versus evil, maybe a bit on the Zoroastrian, you know, ideal of the ultimate. There's a fight between good and evil, but you're not really showing a but somehow the good God is the one demanding you that if you defy the good God, he snaps his fingers and you die for defying him. Or if you don't do the thing that you're supposed to do, you automatically lose all your spells. So you're kind of bitch slapped into being in there, and um, or we're dealing with a political system that, the noble prince, baron, lord, local guy in charge tells you to do something and you do it because you have to. But the thing is, if we were to strip away all that shit and drop players in there and go, what's your goal? What's your plan? What's your motivation? Do you really just want to go out and help somebody have a good life? Do you leave a good tip? Why do you leave a good tip? Because you think it's going to give you a bonus, or are you leaving a good tip because you just want to be a good person? And that's the fun. And I think the more agency we give to our players, the more they think about being a good person or being an interesting person, they get to have a good character that's actually got a voice, and not a funny voice or an interesting name or odd mentality. It's just simply you're being you, and you cut down to the core of it, and it's just so much to it. And I would like to see just, and I think it's why I grate so hard against, well, player agency bad. Just tell players what to do and make them go walk through the events and play the game. Well, that's not the game I'm here for. But if you spell it out to me ahead of time, that's going to be the game we're playing. Well, I've accepted the rules at that point, and I'll play by the rules that you've established. I may not be, but I also have the justification, the right as a player to go, I don't want to play that game, and then I don't play, and then I walk to find the game I want to play, and I'll admit that I'm more of I'm here for the character interaction. I'm not here for the mechanics. The mechanics are secondary for me, but that's what separates me from somebody who's a mechanical focused GM or a mechanical focused player. Anyway, thank you, and welcome to the stream. And
Huh? Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hey, how's it going?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, hanging in, hanging on, doing the best I can.
Yep.
Did
Sorry,
you
I've been
and
rambling as usual. Was that?
I was going to ask Nerdy real quick. Did you and Chris have a good character building stream?
Yeah, yeah. We got his character made up, or mostly. There's little odds and ends that need to be done, but we got the bulk of it done. So
I I'm curious as to how your zombie your Dead Rain game goes. I looked at Dead Rain years ago, and then nobody has talked about it. I don't know why, but zombies are still in that, like, they're coming off their cool points. But for the longest time, we talked about zombies in popular media. It was consistent. The night after you'd have a Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead episode of premiere, you'd hear it at the water cooler. You'd hear from people like, "Hey, did you see the last episode?" And so you had it in pop culture really hardcore. And
yeah,
so I would expect that game to be really popular because you have so many guys out there and so many girls that they're on all the social media pages. Hey, here I am at the range. Here's my grouping. Here's me and my my buckets of grain and my buckets of stuff for me to have uh, garden seeds. So if it goes really south, we can drive to the hills and hopefully find fertile ground to be preppers in the wild, you know? And I would think that game would cause a lot more discussion, but it hasn't.
I
And out of
don't.
all the Rifts games, that was the one I thought was going to be big. But this isn't the first time that's happened. Back in '99, Systems Failure came out. Do you remember that?
I wasn't gaming in '99, but
Okay.
I have not heard of system failure until um, I don't know what, like 5, 10 years ago, maybe.
Well, it was kind of advertised, kind of heavy, but at the time we also had Dead Tree magazines a lot more prevalent, and there wasn't so much web advertising. But Systems Failure was a book that came out, and bugs invaded through the electrical grid. Real fucking big bugs. Not Zytics, but might as well be
Yeah,
Zytics.
yeah,
And it was a fucking horrible situation because if you were in a spot where there was an active outlet on the grid when the system happened, a D100 was rolled and that many bugs would pop out. And they were vicious and they were monsters in combat. And so
and
you
you
want to
died.
you want to engage at range with accurate fire.
Yeah.
It was a fun game. It was a good con game, but I don't think I heard about it since 2005. Kai might remember it, probably
Well,
not.
I have the core
A
book,
little bit.
System Failure.
Oh,
I,
okay.
yeah, I've got the core book. Um, from my understanding, it was just kind of a interesting take on Y2K. Like you said, it came out in '99. That's when everybody was like, Y2K, ah.
I gotta get my BIOS update.
And,
Fuck.
so it was an interesting take, but I was like, after everybody like chilled out and realized that Y2K was just nothing.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah,
There was a
and
Tuesday.
I think that's why System Failure went by the wayside. It's just people stopped freaking out over Y2K, and it just like went, fell to the wayside. And so, yeah, as far as I know, that there aren't any source books for it. It's just the core book, and that was it. Just it just stopped selling, and other things were selling, and so that's what they focused on. Mhm. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to the Dead Rain game, and I'm hoping I do a good job. And you can join in if you want. See, right now we've got like 4 or 5 players, and so Janet was interested in it, but she couldn't do Thursdays, and couldn't find anybody to, and nobody could switch over to Wednesdays. So maybe next time.
She's doing her best to grow her YouTube audience. And I told her, uh, I don't know if I'd be so focused on YouTube. YouTube is fine, but their TOS is evolving. So something you say now in 7 years is going to be against TOS, and they're going to come after you. They're going to tell
Yeah.
you, "Oh, you got to fix this." Brr. And it just, like, especially if you do anything in the lab or if you do anything with your hands practically, like, of course the gun tubers are the main target of it, but other shit's going to follow. And it's not going to be good or healthy.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I really do.
But there's always Rumble.
Yep, that's why I went with Rumble Studio tonight, and that's why I went with this. I typically go with this because it's easy for me to use. It's not easy to duplicate for other creators for their work, but it's easy if you're just a if the other members of the panel aren't interested in getting views on their own channels. And because Khy is a very easygoing, good guy, uh, I'm going to go with Rumble Studio every time with this. Whenever I have to do a stream with Janet or somebody else says, "Hey, I'd like to get some views on my channel," okay, fine. We'll use Restream so you can duplicate it and you can get places. And with like tonight's game we ran, there was like 100 people watching us over off Twitter. Just Twitter, off her Twitter. So I mean, she's going ape shit with that. I'm very happy for her, but I'm not seeing that growth, and I think the main reason is that I don't have boobs.
They, they do help somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically, I got boobs, but I doubt they'd help me.
Yeah, they don't. Mine don't help me as much as they help her. Good God, Khy, what you thinking about, bud? Did you just hit the wall?
No, I'm actually kind of thinking about the fact that um, I'm still hanging on to the idea of the whole where player agency thing that we were kind of talking about,
Oh,
and the fact that a lot of us really don't do a lot to encourage it. And I'm trying to figure out better ways to state that without sounding like that, without going full bore. We should just cut the string sometimes on our players and let them crash. Let them, like, not, take away take away all of the mandatory gods and laws and all these other things, and give them the freedom to just be in the world that we've created for them, without us sitting here trying to drop hints of where to go next. To just cut all the pretense out and go, you're on a road. You know the town you've been in. You you know, like, where are you going? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And then let the players kind of have to think, have to figure out what they want, what they do. And I know I'm not perfect, but I've done it because it's, I think it's the reason why I push so hard for, I know we're supposed to have a separation between game day and not game day. This is why outside of game plotting and emails and messages and writing and talking and going out and doing something with the players if they want to go out and do something, or leaving your door open to have them come and visit you. And then to be able to promptly respond to them is because that's showing they have a desire to be engaged, to have the agency. Yes, it means more work for us to do it, but it means that if you've dropped them sufficiently and they know what they're doing, they're playing the game, they want to do something without you having to push them to do it. And this sometimes leads to fragmentation of groups where the group I know that when we have this mentality that parties are supposed to be these intermeshed, like, functional groups where each person brings one piece to the machine that is the adventuring party, and the adventuring party machine walks through the encounters, the scenarios, and does the fights, and they go through this in a certain order. But the thing is, that takes away the player, you know, the agency of the character themselves. And the thing is that fuck the backstories, fuck, all those other things. It's what are you doing now? Where are you going? Who are you going to talk to? What would you do without me giving you a quest? And let them think. And if they fail, if they don't do anything, because when I ran, I had this thing where I would do time jumps, where because I would periodically reach points where I did cut the strings, where if the players all when there's no when I'm not telling you what to do, and I'm not addicted to, well, I have to push the plot. The story has to move forward. There's a I'm running. I've got a million things going on in the background, but if nothing I'm doing engages you enough to do something, I'm not going to come. I'm not going to have someone come down on a flaming chariot and go tell you, "Here's your quest. Go and do it." If I've given you nothing, if everything I've done has gotten you no motivation to do anything, then you stand around and wait. And everyone just stands around and waits, or stands around and does busy work. That's the key to me, is to go, time jump, time skip. It's now time to go 6 months into the future. Guys, think about whatever you're going to do for 6 months, and you know what? Knowing how most of us act and how most of us play and how most of us do things in real life, you probably sat around and masturbated and watched sports for 6 months. That's okay. You did so. You went to your 9 to 5. You came home. You jacked off. You talked to your wife. You had a nice dinner. You watched the local sports team. You hung out at the pub. 6 months go by. Get back to me on what you're doing, and if nobody can get back to me by the next session on what they're going to do, like if I don't when I come back to the next session, I sit down and go, "All right, everybody, what are you up to?" And then I get the answer of, "We got nothing." Well, guess what? Make new characters. What? You obviously, because I don't run games for you to be heroes. You're people. And if you've got nothing to do.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Like, what are they supposed to do?
The thing here is that, it's a very good question. The thing here is that I'm supposed to get you the momentum to go. The world, you've got something to do, and then you should have enough motivation to push forward. Like, I want to go and I want to go fight something. I want to go loot some treasure. I want to go and fight a dragon. I want to go and explore ruins. I want to go and establish a kingdom. I want to push out a local noble. I want to fight the bandits. I want to go fight crime. I want to be Judge Dredd. I want to hunt down, evil, evil, and that's a that tells me that you've got something you want to do, and now I can go, okay, you're the one pushing the story. I will now, I as the GM is now going to
Okay.
react, and the world is now shaped around you. But if the answer I get is, I really don't have anything I want to do, well, okay, you've got nothing to do, and maybe somebody else in the group will, like, if you're at that point, it's the party's waiting for me to throw a plot at you.
God, please don't let me do that. Please don't make me fucking force. Okay, the current game for my Pathfinder group
Mm-hmm.
was third level, and they were in an area that's adventure rich. Like if you look at the map, there's fucking adventures for that area. That like you have a fourth level module here, 10 miles down the road. There's a sixth level module, and then another 7 miles up the road. There's like a ninth level module, and that takes you all the way. If you do those three in a row, they're in one book. It takes you like 15th or 17th level, something pretty good high level for Pathfinder. And they failed their hook check. They were not interested in why there was a disease kind of rampant in an area. They're like, no, we're going to stay away from that. We don't want to end up fucked up. Okay. And then I added Janet to the party later, and she would have been the perfect player to rope the players into that because where she goes, the party largely follows for the Pathfinder group because she was able to kite the players to go after her. But they refused. They refused greatness on those three that campaign path. And so I was like, for another 2 hours, I was banging my head against the wall and I was rolling with just stuff like uh, monsters coming into town or monsters in the area or local things. And this is kind of like whenever I'm going to take you guys back to if you ever played a CRPG and you go into an area and you have the game set to high encounters or high number of events, like you eventually stumble on something that like leads you to somewhere, and players would hear something like, no, not that. And okay, well, you hear something else from this group of people. No, not that. All right, well, there's like a thieves guild in town that has been really bad to a local group of religious types, and they're largely seen as good people. Maybe you guys should do something about the thieves guild. No, we don't want to go against that because that's tied to a noble family, and nope, nope, nope. All right, fine. And so I sieged the town with hobgoblins.
Yeah.
I laid hobgoblins on them so hard that the players literally had to follow the AP and retreat back to a point where they could make a stand and then break the aggressing force too much to where they could follow and then they could flee out the rest of the way. And that went from level 3 to level 15, 16. Just for 3 years
It's
that path went.
it's the A New Hope syndrome.
E.
Yeah. If you look at Star Wars: New Hope from a role playing point of view, you got Luke Skywalker. He's a farm boy from a backwater planet, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his his buddy, a dark star or something like that, uh, comes to visit him, and there was a whole scene they shot it. They ended up cutting it out.
Biggs
Yep.
Darklighter.
Yeah, Biggs Darklighter, and he's like, look, it's like you joined the academy. I got people there. They can get you out. The resistance could use you. And he's like, no, I can't. It's just, my uncle, my aunt, the farm, everything, blah, blah, blah. And okay, so and then you have he the droids come along and they talk about this Obi Wan Kenobi guy, and he's like, well, maybe he's talking about old Ben Kenobi over there. Come across Ben Kenobi. He's like, look, follow me. I'll teach you the ways of the Force, and we'll uh, uh, take down the empire. He's like, I can't. My uncle, and and so he goes back to his farm. His aunt and uncle are dead, and his farm's destroyed. What has he got? And if you look at it from a role playing point of view, and we've all seen these type of players. It's like the game master puts something out. He's like, no, no, my character wouldn't do that. My character wouldn't go that way. Like, okay, so put something different out. No, 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 my character wouldn't do that. My character wouldn't do that. Okay, something comes along, destroys everything you have. You've got nothing. You've got to start over. Now you have no choice but to go on this adventure. What do you do? So so that's that's what I call it. The new host is like that one player or that group of player who's just constantly, no matter what, is turning down the call to adventure, which is the point of the game. That's why you have your character. That's why everybody's here. It's like you have a responsibility to answer that call. And so, I mean, if you don't answer the call, they'll come a knocking.
I have.
I almost I almost want to have a meme campaign, and I don't want to torpedo the two games they got going on right now. One of them will end within the next year. That's fine because it's going to crest to its apex point, and that's what I want. But there's a meme going around, and I'll just put it in the narrative where the players assemble, and I say, "All right, well, here's what's available," and the players kind of nod, snicker, and they do their thing. They make their characters, and I'm like, "Okay, well, you guys have been noticing that this area's really got a lot of problems with corruption, and there's one of the nobles' uncles has disappeared lately, and about 3 weeks ago there was some vandalism at the graveyard. Though the caretaker said it wasn't vandalism, it was like the graves just unearthed themselves. But then the players tell me, no, Bruce, we don't want to do your game. We want to have a game where we force you to acknowledge our identity, and we're going to bring LGBT rights to your game world. And I'm like, okay, I think I could do this. What? Yeah, you got a bard in the party? We have 3 bards in the party. Oh, okay. What are the other 2 characters? Well, I'm a paladin, and I'm a wizard. Okay. No, I'm an arcanist. I'm special. I'm better than a wizard. I'm an arcanist. Okay, you're an arcanist. You're a paladin. You guys are charisma big, right? No, I'm the wizardish guy, so I've got a high intelligence, but I can counterspell in the middle of casting a wish spell. Oh, okay, cool. And so the party starts, and they start doing this PR move to get everybody in the world, at least within like 50 miles around them, to start being okay with purple haired fat land whales and body positivity. And we start having parades, and we have people read books while in drag to little kids, and it's made legal because it wasn't for a while. You couldn't be naked in front of kids. But no, we're gonna let this all be legal, and you guys have your starter LGBT campaign, and you guys do this for a year. Yeah, and we don't focus on anything else. We just go straight, complete. We're gonna fuck your world over. We're gonna make it completely identity politics positive. There will never be another lame ass game you run ever again because we're gonna force you to be LGBT as a DM. All right, okay. You guys are having your parade, right? This is the anniversary of their start, and you guys have finally got the county, and even the kingdom has taken notice, and the king is supposed to be here with his guard, and they're going to watch and just observe, and hell, they might even shake your hand if you guys make your diplomacy rolls. Oh, Bruce, that's great. I rolled a fucking critical success on my diplomacy roll with the king's advisor, so I get to see the king, right? Yeah, you do. And as you guys are going to see the king, all of a sudden, storm clouds happen, and then portals appear at all 4 cardinal entrances to the town as a horde of undead comes out. What?
They're waiting for you.
Yeah, you guys, you never adventured. You just went on a PR campaign. You only got to 4th level. And here comes a mob of undead led by Death Knights. and the evil warlord has been gathering his forces over the past 18 months, and you guys are behind the eight ball. What do you want to do? What? What do you want to do? And then I have a TPK, and that section of the world is now ruled by undead. Your entire LBGT bullshit. You can think whatever you want, but your raised corpse has an intelligence of 2, and he's now a conscript in the warlord's army. You got what you wanted, but it came at a cost.
Hey, that's honestly a good. I would love that kind of game, honestly.
I would too. I would run that for 10 sessions.
And the thing here is that I would make sure that while they were doing all the campaigning and the crusading and all this other shit, for their cause and their agenda, that make sure that there were hints of the Dark Lord in the background, because they should have a warning to be able to go, oh, should I, to see what's coming, and make sure that they know that it was their choice to ignore it for their own horrible greedy reasons. And now that Doom's arrived, well, Doom's arrived, and there's nothing you can do about it besides, well, now the only thing you can do about it is to die, because you chose not to get better, to not do anything. And but then again, they could be smart and run the fuck away, and now they have to go deal with their homeland. You know, the homeland of the Blue Hairs is now currently on fire and currently lumbering towards them undead.
Well, I mean, my thing is like when it comes down to the conversation between sandbox or railroad, I choose racetrack.
Yeah,
And for those who may be watching this later, basically is you can choose how fast you go. You can choose what lane you're in, but you're still going in the same direction. So it's the mixture between sandbox and railroad. We all know railroad is you're on the track. You go from A to B to C to D to D to do. Sandbox, do whatever.
yeah,
But like I said, the racetrack, you can go fast, you can go slow. Far left lane, far right lane, your choice. But you're still moving that way. And
yeah.
so that's what I try to do anyway.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand. But I think it's because of the fact that I'm tired of running an amusement park. I'm not an Imagineer. I'm not a Walt Disney ride thing. I don't want my players to get on a Paizo or WotC certified It's a Small World ride.
Sorry.
Okay, that is what we are when we, because I like the racetrack idea where it's you get to decide how fast you want to go, and if you want to stop, you can stop. But the thing is that too often we put our players into a into the water ride boat. You you get on the boat, you get to hear a little bit of pre-played music, and then you splash down into a dark room, and then you get to see animatronic pirates, do this, do their little shit. I do their little I ride. I've ridden Pirates of the Caribbean and It's a Small World, so I know how terrifying this thing is. But the thing is that you don't like you're on a preset adventure, and no matter what you do, you're on the track and you're riding through it at the pace that. So at least with your idea of it being a racetrack, the players have control of the speed, but too often we don't even give that to our players. Where we put them in the amusement park ride, and it's just the ride.
Yeah.
They see the things that we want to see, and I'm going to go hit back on your New Hope idea. See, the thing That's a really good, cool idea. Like it's a good standard idea. Most of us know the idea. It's a good reference point. But the problem here is that it it depends. Like whenever we use the idea the of the hero's journey, we're putting the idea that someone's a chosen one, that this is the main character. The problem here is that because of the lethality that our role playing games have, no one's the main character. There is no main character because of the fact that we have, by nature of the game, because of the lethality of the game, we know that players are disposable. We're going to, like, at any point we can kill them, and every fight is a potentiality of dying. At no point during any of the original trilogy is Luke Skywalker actually in danger of dying. There, there's absolutely no point that Luke.
Right.
The closest point to Luke Skywalker dying is Empire Strikes Back. I mean, that's the only time that Luke comes close, that the hero comes close to actually dying. I mean, everywhere else, he's the hero. I mean, you could say that okay, there's a little bit of a threat on the Battle of Yavin, the Battle of Yavin in the Trench Run, where Vader's lining up the shot. But there's some tension there, but it's not really a, a danger. It isn't like a D&D fight, and there's a little bit of danger to Luke, to the main character in the Emperor's throne room. But for the most part, Luke kind of just glides through the entire story, and there's no D&D adventure that you can pull
Well,
out of A New Hope for Luke. And that's why I think Luke is kind of an overrated character, because he faces no real, actual, legitimate challenge outside of Battle of Hoth, Battle on Bespin, and but Hoth is just simply. But the thing is that Hoth, he's not a Jedi. He's not doing Jedi bullshit. He's got a sword he cuts a door open with. But you could have done that with a vibro knife, and he blows up a walker after getting shot down.
Um, I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
The wampa,
Oh yeah.
the
Okay.
the snow beast that
Yeah.
kills
Okay.
his
That
wampa.
was another. So he's got a grand total of 2 real danger points, and again, Empire Strikes Back is the only one where he's a threatened character. So we really can't. But the thing is, we can't really have a party of 4 to 7 chosen ones who are all off being chosen one things where we have a fight every session where the chosen ones can die
well,
in a.
I agree with you. You know, if you do a chosen one campaign, you should never ever make a player character the chosen one,
Yeah.
because then you have to decide, do they have plot armor, or find a way of, in the event of their death, figuring out. Now, like, you should, now what you can do is have an NPC as the chosen one, and the PCs have to go and find them. I like, what is it, the third Shrek movie, the second or third Shrek movie, where oh, I think it's the third. Yeah, where Shrek, Donkey, and Puss in Boots, they
Dunkirk.
have to go and find Arthur to be the next king,
Yeah.
and then they have to get him back. That's how you should run it.
Yeah.
That's how that should be ran. And so yeah, you should never, you should never make the player character. You're right. You should never make the player characters as the chosen one.
Oh
And
yeah.
and there's a bit of a, I don't know, caveat, I guess, uh, to comparing movies with role playing games, because there are certain things in movies, like in movies, the good guy wins.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the few exceptions at the end where, you know, the good guy doesn't win, or the good guy wins but ends up dead. It's 12 o'clock, or something along those lines. But ultimately, in a movie, the good guy wins. In a role playing game, that shouldn't
Yeah.
be a guarantee. There should always be that threat of failure, whether it's just failure, whether the party group just fails, or it's they die or whatever. There should always be the threat of failure.
I got
So, go ahead.
okay. Now, there is the fun part to be able to subvert the players who. Okay, now because we love Star Wars and we know Star Wars well, so if we were to encounter anyone who's a named character, of course we're going to link onto them because they've got plot armor. They're the chosen ones. The thing here is that I'm going to go pull a term from Traveler where there's two universes, the official universe and your universe. Never like, and this is the same thing when you play like Forgotten Realms or anything else. I use Forgotten Realms. It's hilarious when it's like, so we're playing Star Wars and it's like, oh hey look, it's Luke Skywalker. Blow him up right in front of the party. Have Luke come in and rescue your asses, and like, I'm Luke Skywalker. Everyone's like, oh, it's Luke Skywalker, I know him, and then literally have his X-wing get shot out from under him, and just leave him a floating, expanding dust cloud of corpse floating off into space, and let the players go, wait, what? But he's Jedi Master Luke, and he's going to go off and forward the Jedi Academy, and that's my plan for my characters eventually going to go to Yavin, and, well, the last of the Jedi is dead. What do you do? And
Millions of mice and men.
and then the party has to sit there and go, because you've blown up the Millennium Falcon, or you've blown up the Millennium Falcon, you shot Luke out from space, where he's not supposed to die. And then suddenly the party has to go, the timeline is now no longer the timeline that you know. Because, well, Skywalker is dead. The Falcon's not around anymore. Oh no, the thing that we depend on for every novel is now gone. For every comic book and movie is now gone. And you could do this in any established setting. The plot armor character you play in Forgotten Realms, meet Dritz to Warden, and he gets fucking ganked. He's having a beer and he gets ganked on just right there, right in front of you. Just bullets to like I said, arrows to the forehead, falls over dead. Elminster, arrow falls over dead, and you're like, oh shit, this is the important people, because now you've taken away the plot armor of the Chosen One storyline. There is no Chosen One. There is no storyline. The only hero is going to be quite literally whatever the players do. Are that because now there's room for new heroes. Someone has to step in. Do you go running for the hills because the Empire now has scary things that can kill Luke Skywalker? Do you go running to the hills because the Dark Wizards of whatever burg managed to kill off Hero Guy? Did Superman explode? Yes.
There's
What do you do? And this is where players could step in and go, well, I guess the Justice League just exploded in orbit. Fuck us. And now you gotta figure out how you're going to live. And do something fun. Because now you're no longer in the shadow of the plot armor. I mean, it's fun to think about. Because I know this is because and the thing is that I saw somebody's already done this because I like Gundam. I'm a huge Gundam fan. I've watched all the different versions of it, but there was a recent series that's unpronounceable fucking name, but it was an alternate retelling of the original series where the main character, where Amuro Ray, the main character of the entire of the entire UC timeline, didn't get in the Gundam. He didn't make it to the Gundam, and the main villain did what he was supposed to do in episode one and steal it. And suddenly, well, the 1 year war didn't go the way that it did historically. The bad guys won. Shar managed to do everything Shar was supposed to. Everything Shar was going to do, he did, and it's like this whole different universal timeline that got dropped because, well, the hero never made it to the important thing. So it would be like an alternate retelling where it's like if you're going to tell New Hope, where it's like, oh hey, I the weird sand hobo who, because the universe hasn't been expanded yet, to tell us that the Clone Wars happened, and we didn't get 400 side stories and novels yet. Where if episode 4 literally has weird old man and weird old sand hobo and a kid in a hover car goes up to the searchers and goes, "We are not the important people." They're like, "Bullshit! We made our will save." Blam 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 blam. And well, Han Solo actually goes off and pays off his debts and goes off to be a smuggler. He's happy. Alderaan still blew up. Princess Leia dies on the Death Star, and
I'll
the
be
Empire
right
is
back.
happy.
I have to poop, or I have to pee. Excuse me.
No problem. But
Or
it's like,
there's another way to handle it though,
yeah,
and another route you could take
yeah,
is like the PCs. You put them in a CD bar,
yep,
and then they see somebody walk in, and it's Luke Skywalker. Oh my God, it's Luke Skywalker. He's the guy
yeah,
that blew up the Death Star. Oh my God, he saved the universe. Turns out he's a drunken sod.
yeah.
He's a bum because he did one good thing in his life. He did one awesome thing, and everybody started all these bullshit rumors about him, and so people
Yeah,
start believing all this whole legend, and he didn't do any of it. So now he's just some drunk bum who's just trying to who can't even get out of the shadow of his own legend. And
yeah,
and then the player characters come, oh my God, you're really, oh fuck off,
yeah.
fuck off, you asshole! I didn't do none of that shit.
I like that one because that was just as good as you blew Skywalker up. It's another. It's you've told, and at that point you've got them in an established universe that they know, and then you've given them a hard turn that they now have to think about and go, oh shit, I
Hey,
Hey,
Hungar.
Hungar.
oh shit, I gotta do something, and yeah, yes, but no, I you're hitting the same point, the same cool point of, hey, we can do this and make it an interest and make the universe that we're playing in that much more interesting because, well, we are, and the players have to now go do things, and I think this is why I hate cameos so much, is that because players expect the GM to be like, well, and now Luke Skywalker is here. Luke Skywalker solves all the problems because he's the hero. Well, why is he here? Well, because the story says he has to be here, and he's here to
Have a
help
good
you.
one, Hungar. Thank you, sir.
Take care. And
Good night, Hungar.
like he's here. He's the Elminster has come to save you. And why is Elminster here to save me? Well, because you need saving. You need someone to pull your ass out of the fire and tell you where to go next to go save the world, because that's what Elminster does. He's here to to give you a plot line, and
Well,
I'm not
I,
wanting to do it.
I don't have a problem with that per se. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
and that's a good way to start the campaign.
yeah,
Is put the player characters in mortal danger, and then have the more powerful guy come in and rescue their butts. Now these guys owe this guy a favor, and so and so he sends them on these little start sending them on these little piddly ass quests,
Side jobs,
and
yeah.
yeah,
But the
and
thing here
but
is,
each one is a separate, each one
oh,
is a piece, and then once all the pieces are there, they're put together, and then you see the whole big picture.
yeah. But the thing here is that that's a good way to start a game. The thing is too often a lot of us use that as the eternal thing that with like where we go back to Sky, like where we go back to Skywalker, we go back to Elminster, we keep figuring out things, and it's like you use them once to have a cameo to show up and go, "Hey, I'm that cool guy. Do the thing, do the thing for me," and then the storyline happens, so the plot occurs. From there, the motivation should be now the players have the motivation they need. Like you've given them the start, and from that point forward, they should have everything they need to keep going, to be the hero, to be the player, to become more than just Bob the cashier, who's who's making sure his drawer balances out at the end of the night, or that he's made his house payment. I mean, we've given them the push, and from that point, we shouldn't have to do shit any point forward. We should be like literally just going, no, no, man, you got this. You're the player, and and we should be putting pieces out there, and the players are grabbing them and assembling the story that they're wanting. Not the story that I'm here to tell you. I'm not here to tell you, like, I'm not here to go. We're going to go play, you know, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
Empire Strikes Back should happen, but the thing is that it isn't simply Adventure Pack Empire Strikes Back. It should be simply we have made the choice to go make this our base. The bad guys have shown up. We don't realize it's a self-contained adventure. We're part like the game is the game should have taken on its own momentum. The
yeah,
players should be the ones
well,
adding the momentum onto it, and that we as the GMs should be throwing the complications in. So the player should be pushing the cart forward, and we're adding the mud puddles. We're
I
adding
mean,
the rocks, the broken axles. We're the ones who make the complication that the players have to overcome to keep pushing the cart forward. The players should be pushing it. It shouldn't
yeah,
be us dragging it.
and that's why I said, it's like the game master tells you, describes the world around you.
Yep.
Then you tell the game master how your character reacts to what's going on,
Yep.
and and from there it's just a snowball effect, because each action is going to elicit another another reaction, which is going to, and it's just going to pile on top. But yeah,
Yep.
um, once again, Star Wars. That's what we just described. Just happened in Star Wars. I mean, if you look at it, Luke went off after R2 to find R2, and he found the same people, and he got himself in trouble that he couldn't get out. Lo and
Yep.
behold, Obi-Wan comes in, saves his butt,
Oh yeah.
and and then Obi-Wan, is like, puts him on a mission. It's like, we go to Alderaan. We got to go to Alderaan, and then from there, from that point, Obi-Wan dies. Now Luke has that start,
Oh yeah.
and it ends up, where it ends up.
And I think the thing here is that we we now have like this vast breadth of comics and other movies that point out just how special Luke Skywalker has become. So we know Luke is the most amazing person in the entire universe, gifted by God. I born of a man who was born of a virgin birth, and we now know all this shit. The thing is that in just Episode 4, in the just Star Wars itself, the original movie, Skywalker really isn't he's the main character, but he doesn't have the he's not the chosen one yet. He's just simply the hero. And the original movie, he's not. He's got a special power, but he's not super, and he's not super powered yet.
Yeah.
And the later books and later movies will make him into the chosen one that follows the hero's journey. And yeah, he's following a hero's journey, but he's not like the chosen one. In fact, he's not really even the chosen one until tail end of Empire.
I would
But
actually say even the first part of Return of the Jedi,
yeah,
because that's when, like at the tail end of Empire, he faces Vader, but he wasn't really a Jedi Knight until after he had time to rest, recover,
yeah.
and reflect on that experience. So I'm not trying to say
The,
like my
oh
way
no
of
no
leveling up is right, but I mean, like to me, that was always like he had to face Vader first, and get his ass handed to him, and then once he did that, then like he reflected and he was ready to start doing those things that would definitely make him the Jedi Knight that we feared after Return of the Jedi and the Dark Horse comic universe after
oh
that,
yeah
which nobody fucking remembers, sadly, nowadays. You got to jar people's minds like, hey, do you remember Dark Empire? Or, stuff like that. And like, oh my God, that was so good. And then we
oh
look at
yeah
Disney Channel Star Wars and we're like, ugh.
yeah. I know.
Sorry.
So I think we're all
I'll be damned if I acknowledge Disney Star Wars as canon.
No, it's not.
I'll be
hey
damned.
Disney Disney gave us three things that were actually good: Andor season one, Andor season two, and Rogue One, which is a which when you put those three together actually is a pre sequel trilogy.
But
But
the worst part is that none of this advances the timeline. They,
no,
they
it just
erased all the books. They erased all the video games.
I
They
know
they said that Dash Rendar never did anything special. Like I just have a real issue with Disney
I
going out
know
there in 2012 saying if it wasn't a movie, it just didn't happen. Wait, what the fuck? If it
I
wasn't for the
know
D6 Star Wars system, you wouldn't have a franchise to buy, you motherfuckers. That's what made you, and it wasn't really even as much as I love Timothy Zahn. Timothy Zahn took it and he ran with it, but he was reading from the fucking Star Wars source book from the original D6, copyright 1988, 89, and
yeah
he was reading through that trying to get all the fucking stuff right. And here we were, a bunch of geeky teenagers reading through the fucking Thrawn trilogy, going out of our gourd, giving the books to our dad. Our dad's read it, and they're like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." I'm like, "No, Dad, this is the thing that they're talking about right here, and this is the thing you're talking about right here." And we're there like
yep
trying not to fucking spurg out, not that we're spurging out in 1988, but like us little poor. I wasn't saying I was autistic, but man, we had new Star Wars in 1988. Oh my god,
I know
and then we had the Thrawn trilogy books started in 1991. Ah, it was so fucking good. So
it
yeah,
was
Disney really just fucking
drop the ball.
dropped the fucking ball. They always do that. I don't know, man. I
They
can't
are
value their opinion that much. And the worst
nope.
part is that the only things that they've done that are good are things that don't really advance the timeline any off of Return of the Jedi. They keep making stuff that everybody else just is like, oh, let's ignore this. Let's ignore this. Let's ignore this.
I
Kind of go
know
back to the old droids and Ewoks cartoon for better plot lines.
that hurts.
Did I say that aloud? I'm sorry.
Oh no no, you said the Ewoks. That was a ugh. But hey, that was a show, and we watched it.
Yeah, there was nothing else on at the time that could compare to possibly what was good, and that was far from great. That was
I
passable.
I think the worst thing that Disney has done is they made people stop and think. Well, gee, compared to Disney, the Star Wars Christmas special wasn't that bad.
You
Uh,
know, I'll take another 10 minutes of Carrie Fisher, higher than a giraffe pussy, singing off key, followed up by one of the Golden Girls trying to serve drinks to Tim Conway. I'll deal with that happily.
oh,
Was it Cloris Leachman that was in that?
I don't remember who's all in it. Can, can I get 20 more minutes of Wookiee a Wookiee singing, please?
I'm, I need the Wookiees to just grumble at each other for another 30 fucking minutes. I need Itchy to fucking just beat on appliances and give me another read the Union Label song commercial while you're at
Life Day is a thing. Don't forget it.
it. Oh shit.
Oh,
But
Oh,
we've been
um,
through a lot. God damn it! Don't forget the shit we've done. Oh,
this there's bad things in life, and then you have Carrie Fisher Life Day songs, and we've been at this for about 2 hours. Hold on, hold on. Let's bring you guys up to speed. Not you gentlemen here, but like there's some people that just don't understand what I'm talking about when I say, okay, good, it's sharing.
We celebrate a day of peace, a day of harmony, a day of joy we all can share, together joyously. A day that takes us through the
Harrison Ford does not want to be there.
darkness. A
Mark
day
Hamill's high
that
on coke.
leads us into life. A day that makes us want to
R2D2's like, what the fuck?
celebrate the
Deprogram me now.
night. A day that brings the promise that
Where's
one
the Wookiee
day
fucking
we'll
chorus? God damn
be free. To live, to laugh, to dream, to grow, to trust, to
this is John Williams' lowest point in time right here. For all of his good that you do in life, he'll be there to go. And you also did this.
Oh,
Carrie
shit.
Fisher sang over to a bad version of your theme song.
to dream the impossible dream. Why?
So here's a money maker for me, and I want to say thank you for anybody who has bought anything from Blackout Coffee. You guys have helped me fill up my gas tank a few times and get through some rough spots. Right now, we've got a special off tea. So for the next, looks like 48 hours, let's get through the holiday weekend here, which it's a holiday somewhere. If you want tea, 25% off. The code is Flash T, and I'm telling you, like this is pretty good stuff.
It is good tea.
I've gone through a lot of this tea. The Winter Solstice tea is good. That's got a little bit of caffeine in it. The blueberry tea, the orange cream tea, those are great. The berry coolest tea is good. I've not tried these two down here, but if you are into it, go for Flash Tea, 25% off every tea in the collection. Go ape shit, guys. Go nuts. Blackout Coffee loves you. They love your First Amendment. They love your Second Amendment. And they are happy to fulfill all of your hydration dreams. Thank you so much, Blackout Coffee, for your support, and God bless you, gentlemen. Thank you, John Santos, for your company. Sorry about that, guys. I just got the email. I want to
Ad
say,
read time.
It's your channel.
it's not a. It's only a war crime. It's not a war crime the first time. So
That's why I'm wearing it. I'm actually wearing that shirt today. So
today I'm wearing the shirt that says I took the Minotaur challenge because we had all of the people discussing smut talk with the Morning Glory Milking Farm book that
oh
came out like a
no.
year ago, and I just discovered this, and I thought, what a better way to discuss uh, the worst possible series of smut than to have. Let me, Jamie, get the camera right. Okay, I survived the Minotaur challenge. This is a shirt from RPG Crate from like 2018, and I thought it was funny as shit that I got this, and it sat on the shelf, sat in my closet for years. Time to wear it. It's time.
Oh
But
yeah.
I thought,
Especially after that.
yeah, after that especially. Thank you to everybody who turned that into a discussion topic this week. God bless you. Um,
Oh.
guys, it's almost like 2.5 hours in. Do we have another discussion topic you want to hit?
Nah, I'm good. Unless you got more that you want to talk about.
I'm actually. I hate to say this. It's after midnight, and Brucey's feeling like an old man.
Yeah.
I hate saying I need a nap, but I need a nap till like daylight. And I'll see you guys tomorrow if you want to hang out for the Dracula stream. We're going to be me and Janet are talking about Dracula from 1992. I don't know.
I unfortunately I've got all my birthday celebrations that I gotta do tomorrow. So
Oh shit, that's today, isn't it?
yeah, as of 27 minutes ago.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I am 47 now. Thank you.
Happy birthday, dear Kai. Happy birthday to you.
Yay, I'm older.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Right.
Sucks. If you guys
Are
want to
you
jump
happy about this? I'm old. Not really.
in, yeah. Appreciate everybody being here while we paint minis talk shop. Thank you, Nerdy Ogre, for jumping in at the last and being part of our stream.
Thank
Yep.
you for inviting me.
Hey, happy to have you.
Yes, always happy to have you guys. I like to have Kai for a little bit, for about an hour, maybe 90 minutes, and then bring in friends because, like, well, one, this is usually the game, the day we have the D100 game, and I want to make sure we have those people that were part of that in the stream and part of the panel because that's not even a system yet. It's under construction, and if you guys got something to talk about with it, hit me up with it. Like discuss it. If you have something you like about it, great, talk about it. If you have something you don't like, help me fix it. That's all I ask.
It won't get fixed until you address it.
Hmm.
It can't be fixed if nobody knows something's wrong.
Everybody, be well. Keep your head on a swivel. Seriously, this is a weird time. I saw some funny video from the All Kings protest, and thank you, Trump and Vance, for doing your best to troll our audience. Bless their heart.
Yep.
Thank you, gents, for being part of tonight.
Alrighty.